Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer and a subscriber. As you know, the Ignition Time channel is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. Folks, I've been analyzing comments from one of the members of the White House Council on Economic Advisors, Jared Bernstein, and he's been saying some super important things. He was actually on the podium at the White House briefing room today. He actually spoke before Jen Psaki came on. And I think it's very important that this happens. With the previous administration, we saw Larry Kudlow. There he is. What's up, Larry? Giving interviews to Fox Business News all the time, and that was pretty much their go-to network. But I think it was good that Jared Bernstein actually spoke in the White House briefing room so he could speak to the media at large and essentially talk about the new position from the new administration about the economic recovery. In this first segment, let's take a look at Bernstein talking about the targeting of the stimulus checks. And he says that middle-income earners should be helped. And he says if you take a look at the way the stimulus checks, specifically the $1,400 stimulus checks, are targeted, he said virtually none of the money goes to top income earners, which, by the way, is a big concern amongst many Republicans. In fact, it's a big concern for Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat. What's up, Joe? As well as Senator Susan Collins, who's a Republican from Maine. They actually proposed an amendment to the budget reconciliation that got 99 senators voting for it and one senator, ironically, Senator Rand Paul, voting against it. I can never keep up with what Rand Paul does. There he is. What's up, Rand? So let's take a look at important comments from Jared Bernstein about the fact that the middle income earners will get the most amount of help and virtually none of the stimulus checks will go to the top income earners, which is a concern. Let's roll the tape and hear from Bernstein.
But just as far as what is the economic argument for changing those phase-out numbers? Why shouldn't you just go with what you originally proposed?
I think the argument is one that we've heard consistently from some critics, which say that those at the very top of the scale, when you get into the realm of, $300,000, I think has been mentioned. I think it's arguable that those folks don't need the checks. I think what's important to the president is that we don't lose sight of people in the middle of the income scale who continue to struggle with both the health and economic fallout from this crisis. And these checks target them effectively and efficiently. By the way, this is an important thing that comes from some work by the group ITEP, Institute for Taxation and Economic Policy. If you look at the distribution, who gets the checks, it actually, virtually none of it goes to the very top of the scale, and the vast majority goes to the middle and the bottom. Their percentage gains in income from the checks are, double digits compared to those at the top of the scale. So I think that we have to understand that targeting in this case means reaching families at the low end, at the middle end, families who have been hit and are struggling with this crisis.
Now, the next segment is very important. You have heard me talk about automatic stabilizers on this channel. So again, the way automatic stabilizers work is they're economically driven stimulus measures. They have nothing to do with red states or blue states. They have nothing to do with the House and the Senate. And we're not going to get involved in all the politics that takes place between the House and the Senate. The way automatic stabilizers would work is that if the unemployment rate goes up, unemployment benefits also go up. Potentially stimulus checks go out. When Jared Bernstein was asked about automatic stabilizers, which have been proposed, he said automatic stabilizers are an interesting policy idea and an interesting discussion from a policy standpoint. But he said right now we need help and we need to pass the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Let's hear what Bernstein has to say. But I do believe that we are heading towards a future with automatic stabilizers once we get this crisis behind us. Let's hear from Bernstein.
Just beyond this bill, that there needs to be more reform around automatic stabilizers, unemployment insurance. Do you need to do more so that the next time we hit something like this, we have a solution?
The president has on occasion talked about this point and said that if our automatic stabilizers are key to economic indicators or health indicators, that is a potentially useful policy advance. I know that Treasury Secretary Yellen has talked about that as well. Right now, we're kind of past the stage of thinking about, right now, we're really at a point where we have a package that is calibrated to meet the urgency of the moment. And that's the American Rescue Plan. So that's what we want to focus on. There are all kinds of interesting policy discussions we could and should have, and I think that's one of them. But for now, what we need to do is get this package out there and meet the urgency of the moment.
Now, folks, personally, I think this is very significant. As you know, right now we have 50 Republicans in the Senate and we have 50 Democrats in the Senate. And the tie-breaking vote is cast by Vice President Kamala Harris. There she is. In fact, the Vice President cast her first tie-breaking vote. Probably not her only tie-breaking vote. There are going to be many because of an evenly split Senate. The Vice President cast her first tie-breaking vote, setting up the Democrats for the process of budget reconciliation in order to pass the $1.9 trillion rescue package. Now, folks, to avoid gridlock in the future, I believe that automatic stabilizers make a whole lot of sense. Right now, because we do not have the system of automatic stabilizers in place, you have the president, there's President Biden, you have House Speaker Pelosi, there she is. What's up, Speaker Pelosi? And you have the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer. You have them essentially going on different television networks, giving briefings, giving these press conferences, almost on a daily basis, making the case with the American people for the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Package. If we have a system of automatic stabilizers, as the unemployment rates go up, guess what? The unemployment benefits also go up. It becomes a simple, economic, data-driven way to be able to provide help for those who need it the most. And that is something that I think we can all get behind. Remember, for me, it's not about the red or the blue, it's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm American. If we look at stimulus and unemployment benefits as being strictly data-driven measures that should be triggered whenever there is a need for it, I think we can stop the argument. We can stop all the chess games. You can see the chessboard on your screen. We can stop all the chess games between the administration and the Senate, between the Senate and between the House, and we can stop all the shenanigans and all the haggling, regardless of who is on the chessboard. Let me know what you think. Let's take a look at another segment with Jared Bernstein essentially making the case for stimulus. You can hear him say that the risks of doing too little are greater than the risks of doing too much. And he also talks briefly about the risks of inflation, which is a concern amongst many economists because we're pumping so much money into the economy. What happens if inflation goes up? The dollar loses its purchasing power. Let's hear from Bernstein about the risks of inflation and the risks of doing too little relative to too much. Let's roll the tape.
But he says that this $1.9 trillion proposal is so big that it risks progressive priorities in the future and could potentially undermine the economy next year. Is the Biden administration going too big?
No, I firmly would disagree with that contention. By the way, I wouldn't call the other thing a bailout. That was the Recovery Act, and I think that also was an effective measure. But I think that the idea now is that we have to hit back hard, we have to hit back strong if we're going to finally put this dual crisis of the pandemic and the economic pain that it has engendered behind us. With respect to Larry's point, I mean, one thing is just wrong, which is that our team is dismissive of inflationary risks. We've constantly argued that the risks of doing too little are far greater than the risk of going big, providing families and businesses with the relief they need to finally put this virus behind us. Second, I want to quote Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who strongly reiterated this view the other day, I think it was just a week or so ago, that inflationary risks are also asymmetric right now. When asked about this precise trade-off that you're asking me about, he said, and I'm quoting, "I'm much more worried about falling short of a complete recovery and losing people's careers and lives that they built because they don't get back to work in time. I'm more concerned about the damage that will do, not just to their lives, but to the United States economy, to the productive capacity of the economy. I'm more concerned about that than about the possibility which exists of higher inflation." So this is risk management. This is balancing risks. And in our view, the risks of doing too little are far greater than the risks of doing too much.
That was it, everyone. Let me know your thoughts about the automatic stabilizer method, about the targeting of the stimulus checks, the fact that as far as Bernstein is concerned, virtually none of the stimulus checks go to the top income earners. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would greatly appreciate that. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm. That makes me super happy, almost like there's a confetti type atmosphere, and that puts a big smile on my face like that. So I would really appreciate that, folks. Thank you so much much for watching. Again, don't forget to click like and subscribe. Again, that helps out the YouTube algorithm. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thank you. Bye.